Hey there, how you doing? Andy Whitehead here. Just thought I'd make you a quick video. I've not done it for a while, and I'm going to share with you some really cool things around candidates. So basically, most people who come to us, whether it be a recruitment search business owner in the UK, US, Canada, Australia, you're looking for one of two types of candidate. The first type of candidate may be you're in a marketplace whereby you've got a candidate placement fee anywhere from 20 grand up to 75k, and there might only be 10 of them, there might be 500, it could be a really hard to find candidate. Or conversely, you're in a marketplace whereby there are tens of thousands of candidates. I don't mean active, I mean passive and active. And you may be looking at a fee from $500 to 10, 15K. So just to recap, most recruitment search business owners have one of two types of candidate. One is a candidate whereby there are thousands of them in the marketplace, or secondly, really, really hard to find and they're in headhunter mode. So on these next two videos, which have got the ninjas in the Philippines collating right now, I'm going to share with you, number one, if you're in a volume marketplace. One of our members, Trevor, has a database now, 440,000 candidates. That's right, 440,000 candidates. And number two, how he gets 1,000 emails from candidates a day in his inbox. So he's not out there chasing and making crappy ebooks or something to get them to download. And no, they're coming to him regarding a role, 1,000 a day. He's going to share his actual screen with you. Really cool guy, Trevor Renner. Secondly, if you're in a marketplace like Andy Bourne, and you've got the real hard to find candidates, so I mean those who are needle in a haystack. When you do your crappy phone approaches, or we send a LinkedIn email, we get a really poor response. Anyway, Andy's going to share how he's managing to now get 15 to 20 of these every time he runs a campaign using one 3-step funnel, and a VA is actually running it for him. So in Andy's own words, in his previous recruitment search business, he had a team of 7 and they wouldn't be able to find these roles, so find these candidates for these roles. But now with one VA and a 3-step systemized process, he can fill the roles. So whether you're in a marketplace whereby there are tens of thousands of candidates out there, or whether you're in a marketplace whereby there are literally just a handful of candidates out there, the gold, this is going to be cool for you. See you on the other side. Your role right now, in terms of running RRR, what does your role in terms of metrics look like? So, you know, we always want to look at. So we send out X amount. We got open, we got reply, we got A, B, C, etc. How do you look at metrics? What's your role in terms of metrics? And what metrics actually drive success or failure for you, or what we need to tweak?
I mean, now I just have such a faith. It's like you get to a point into a system that you know when you're getting the returns, and maybe this is bad. I almost not as worried about metrics. Really, the factors that I look for on metrics to make sure it's working, the one thing I do look at all the time is the open rates. Yeah. I constantly look at the open rates, and I just make sure that they're within that threshold of open rates. And I know when my open rates drop to single digits, it's time to throw out the domain and get a new domain. And then I know that, you know, I know when I'm sending 4,000 people through a RRR campaign, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when the candidates are going to come in.
Love that.
And it just really is. It's all it is. It's just, it is nothing but a numbers game. My VAs are building lists. We feed the lists into the machines, and I'm just here to get into and talk and schedule the appointments per week.
Love that. In London, I've said this multiple times, and I think people are getting tired of me saying this. You know, Keith stood up in the room and said, you know, if you're not putting through 500 a week minimum, you're not taking it seriously. You're putting through that, you know, many multiples of that. So if you
go ahead, Andy.
Yeah. So in terms of lessons, so for those on the call now, so you know, God, I'm not getting the roles in, or I'm not getting the candidates in. Generally, it comes down to you're not putting the volume through. We're tiptoeing and putting 50 through a day, and then just 50 another day. Then we might pause for 3 or 4 days, and we're not really taking it seriously. Bearing in mind that 10% of your prospects might be open to move in or open to hire in, 90% won't be. So you've got to put the volume through. In terms of that volume side of things, Trevor, going back to where you are now, so you 434,000 in your database. For those who have got a well, it comes down to just confidence is the wrong word, but trust in the process. How would you get those across the line who are tiptoeing at 50 a day, as opposed to someone like yourself putting through hundreds and hundreds a day? What would be the key thing you'd say, or the key kick at the butt that you give them to make sure they get across that line? Because because generally that's what it is. It's just taking that jump. What for you was that, you know, got you to take that jump?
I started having, I've had VAs now for like 4 years. I've had them for a long time. And I think there was a podcast I read, I can't remember his name, but basically I use the example of a $5 an hour job or a $1,000 an hour job. If you look at your daily schedule, and the way that it used to be for me was I'd have to go source for candidates. Well, I mean, is that really, I find that as a low level thing. I always need ICU nurses. So why should I be stopping to look for ICU nurses every day? No, that should be something that needs to be going on 24/7. And when I found VAs who can do it for $3-4 an hour, and it's not difficult to teach them, why not have someone do that 24/7 for you? I mean, imagine every day you have a new set of prospects just handed to you.
Yeah.
For 4 times 40, $160 a week. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, why would you not do that? And now with double R, then you teach that VA how to use double R. So the only thing I really have to do with double R is I just have to make a couple of sequence letters when I have a new job that's come in, and that I know that I want to work. So I just send over, and that takes me literally 5 minutes. I email that to my guy. He's learned how to put that sequence in. He puts everything in for me. 6 hours later, it's done and it's running. And now I'm on my inbox and just, I'm sitting at my computer making calls. I don't make cold calls. They just all come in to me, and I just reach out to those people. Honestly, my biggest challenge is I don't want to waste my time speaking to unqualified people. So that's why I do all the acuity scheduling. I do those qualifiers and the can letter responses. I want to make sure they're open to moving, general location, and then I'm spending my time on talking with them. I really think that would be crazy to have them just follow-up calls on all of these leads that have come in as well.
Yeah, I feel it. Funny enough, it's something that we're going to be testing too. After Mitchell's call, went in fact to London. I was blown away by what he shared. I think it's a no-brainer, isn't it? Well, for you especially, given what you've got coming in.
Yeah, I just come back to your question about, I just hated to source for candidates all the time. I hated making cold calls. So I think what's the famous line? Necessity was born out of laziness. It's almost effectively the way it is that I really hated doing those activities, and I just found you just move them out to people to do it for you, and you don't have to mess with that anymore. I just, the value of that's incredible.
Love that. If I may, I'm just going to chunk up the questions again, because loads of questions still here we've not answered. So I'm going to try and chunk them up, guys. If we do miss your question, please do repost it. So.
Oh, and Andy, one thing I did want to point out. So a person asked about the volume. Here it is. Oh, yeah. I mean, March 21st, I sent out almost 9,000 emails. I got 1,000 responses that day. 22nd, here's 8,200. I mean, you can see the numbers, and then the responses.
You got 1,000 responses in a day?
Right here, 954.
Wow.
That's why I use the labels. Now you guys see why I use the labels, and I can just zoom through that. And I mean, over here, I mean, it looks like my peak's around 9,000, and that's one day. There's 400 responses in a day, 421, 392. I mean, you can see them all. There's 4,500. I mean, so here are the numbers of what have gone out and what's come in.
Love that, Trevor. Listen, when we spoke in January, the constraint, wasn't it? It was getting the replies. Now, clearly that's not the constraint anymore. It's like, the constraint in the business changes every time. First of all, getting the candidates, then getting the replies. Now the next constraint clearly is filtering and getting you out of the process further, as you mentioned. But Trevor, love this. Absolutely love this. You're absolutely smashing it.
The invite call. Now, this is, as I was going back to the analogy that this is a headhunt call. This is very much so. Think what you do if you initially pick up the phone to headhunt someone. Hi, my name's Andy Bourne. I'm a specialist headhunter. I specialise in BIM engineers within infrastructure. Have I caught you at a good time? You're there. It's an introduction, but also what you're trying to do. You're trying to give them a hook. You're trying to give them a reason to stay, on a telephone call, you're trying to give them a reason to stay on the telephone, or on this time, you're trying to give them a reason to connect. So you've got to give them what I say, always the hook. So if you're phoning someone, look, I've got a CEO, an MD role working for a FTSE 100. You've got to give them something that they're going to grab hold of. For the Hinckley project, within 2 months, and that's how I exclusively recruited that. 20 BIM engineers and project managers for a company over 3.5 months. And I was thinking back with my last company, when I say I had a team of, God knows, 7 in my side of the business who was underneath myself. If a client said, can you exclusively recruit for these 20 roles? Do you know what? I'd probably have to admit that I wouldn't be able to do that. I know I wouldn't have been able to do it. Just wouldn't be able to do it. But now, just with myself, yes, I can. I know I can.
Awesome. So we've got Andy plus VA and versus team of 7, and it's a yes/no. So you can provide 35 people, in this case 20, 20 plus the 15, just yourself and a VA. But before with a team of 7, you couldn't. Again, I didn't know that, Andy. So kudos to you. Well, first off, Andy, outstanding.